The movie begins in Bristol, UK, where Santa Claus is sitting at a bar, drinking. After finishing his drink, he asks for another. Just then, another man dressed as Santa Claus enters the bar and asks if Santa has just finished his shift. Santa replies that he's taking a break between shifts. The man jokes that the reindeer know the way, and he just sits in the back, prompting laughter from the man and the bartender, assuming Santa is joking. Santa then mentions that he might quit being Santa Claus because the children have become selfish and materialistic. He gets up and heads towards the door leading to the roof. Before leaving, he hands the bartender a gift for her grandson, leaving her puzzled. She wonders how Santa knew her grandson's name. The bartender follows him to tell him he's using the wrong exit, but when she reaches the roof, Santa is nowhere to be found. She looks up and sees Santa flying away on his sleigh. Just as she stands there in amazement, Santa unexpectedly throws up on her. The scene then shifts to Greenwich, Connecticut, where Jason Lightstone waits for his estranged wife, Linda, to pick him up. When Linda arrives, Jason greets her and their daughter, Trudy. Jason thanks Linda for making the trip to his mother's estate with him. The three of them arrive at his mother's house, where they are greeted by the gatekeeper, who lets them in. Inside the mansion, everyone is busy preparing for Christmas. Later that night, Jason, Linda, and Trudy head to the living room, where they are welcomed by Jason's sister, Alva, her son, Brett, and her boyfriend. Upon hearing their mother approaching, Alva rushes to the entrance with her family to greet her. Noticing that Jason isn't joining them, she asks what his plan is. Her boyfriend suggests that Jason is up to something, so they join Jason and Linda at the back of the room. Once dinner is over, everyone retires to their rooms. Jason and Linda tuck Trudy into bed, where she tells them that Jason forgot to take her to the mall to visit Santa, which is why she couldn't tell him her wish. Feeling guilty, Jason gives Trudy an early Christmas present, a walkie-talkie, explaining that she can use it to communicate with Santa and share her wish. As Linda and Jason leave the room, they overhear Trudy telling Santa that her only wish for Christmas is for her parents to get back together. Meanwhile, Santa continues his rounds, visiting different houses and delivering gifts. As he drinks more and becomes increasingly intoxicated, he arrives at the Lightstone estate. Finding the cookies that Trudy left for him, he sits in a massage chair to relax, taking a bottle of alcohol with him. At the same time, one of the bodyguards enters the security room and knocks out the guard on duty. He then alerts his accomplices that their plan is in motion. Outside, Mr. Scrooge arrives at the estate and is greeted by the gatekeeper. He tells the gatekeeper that he punctured a tire and needs help replacing it. When the gatekeeper turns around, Mr. Scrooge shoots him in the head. Mr. Scrooge's mercenaries begin eliminating all the guards and staff at the estate. Jason's mother is escorted to a panic room by her bodyguard, but as they enter, Mr. Scrooge follows them and kills her guards. He then takes Bert, Alva, her boyfriend, and her mother hostage. During this time, Linda gets into an argument with Jason, accusing him of neglecting their daughter. She says that his mother always tries to come between them. Jason tries to calm her down, telling her that he wants to fix everything and that he's willing to walk away from the Lightstone wealth and company. Suddenly, they hear gunfire outside. At the same time, Santa hears the gunfire as well and attempts to escape from the room. He tries tapping his nose to teleport through the chimney to the roof, but his power doesn't work because he's drunk. As the Lightstone family is gathered in the living room, Santa is discovered by a mercenary. The two of them get into a fight, but Santa manages to throw the mercenary out of the window. In the living room, Jason's mother informs Mr. Scrooge that she has a secret extraction team on the way. He replies that he knows when the extraction team will arrive and that she has $30 million stored in her vault. She warns Mr. Scrooge that he won't be able to steal the money since no one can break into the vault. He responds by revealing that he knows about the button she has that will automatically change the locks. Mr. Scrooge takes the remote from her and orders his team of mercenaries to hack into the vault. One of his mercenaries contacts him to report the death of their accomplice. Mr. Scrooge orders them to search the house for anyone who might have escaped. Meanwhile, Santa enters the house through the back door. He tries calling the police, but the mercenaries have cut off all the phone lines. Suddenly, he hears footsteps outside and hides behind a pillar. Santa begins rummaging through his sack, looking for something to defend himself with. When a mercenary enters the room, he carefully scans his surroundings. Santa finds a doll in his sack, sneaks up on the mercenary, and hits him on the back of the head. The mercenary drops his gun, but quickly pulls out a knife. Santa then pulls a hockey stick from his sack and strikes the mercenary again. But this time, he is overpowered. They fight until Santa finally manages to kill the mercenary. Back in the living room, Linda makes Trudy lie down. She takes out her walkie-talkie and begins talking to Santa. Meanwhile, Santa finds the mercenary's walkie-talkie and hears Trudy calling for him. He responds and asks her where she is. Trudy tells him she's in the living room, surrounded by men with guns. Santa reassures Trudy that he's going to help her. He walks to the gatekeeper's hut and discovers that the phones are still not working. Just then, he hears Mr. Scrooge calling out for the mercenaries. Santa responds and informs Mr. Scrooge that the mercenary is dead. He warns Scrooge to leave the family alone or face his wrath. Frustrated, Mr. Scrooge storms into the living room and demands to know who hired the Santa Claus impersonator. Jason's mother insists that no one hired a Santa, but Scrooge doesn't believe her. He grabs a nutcracker and, in a brutal display, breaks Jason's finger, threatening to torture him further if he doesn't get answers. Seeing her father in danger, Trudy bravely tells Mr. Scrooge to let him go, warning that Santa will punish him if he doesn't. Linda tries to dismiss Trudy's claim, saying she's just pretending, but Trudy insists that she's been communicating with the real Santa, worried for his daughter. Jason tries to convince her that Santa Claus doesn't exist. Upset by this, Trudy runs out of the room and hides in the attic. Meanwhile, Santa realizes he's bleeding and stitches himself up, but due to the blood loss, he passes out and has a vision of his past as a warrior. He's awakened by Trudy's voice over the walkie-talkie. She asks if he's the real Santa, and he confirms that he is, but he explains that his powers are limited and he can't fulfill her wish of reuniting her parents. Back in the living room, one of the mercenaries demands that the family open their Christmas presents. When it's Jason's turn, he tries to pretend he forgot the gift, but Bert grabs it from under the tree and hands it to his grandmother. When Jason's mother opens the present, she finds a note and immediately becomes upset, though she keeps its contents to herself. During this time, Trudy asks Santa about his past, and he reveals that he was once a warrior. He shares that he used to kill people with a special hammer because he enjoyed it, placing him at the top of the naughty list. Trudy reassures him that he's doing good things now, and that she believes he isn't a bad person. Santa advises Trudy to stay hidden while he deals with the mercenaries. At the same time, Mr. Scrooge informs his accomplices that the extraction team is on its way. Elsewhere, Santa sneaks up on a mercenary but accidentally sets off a toy, alerting her. He hides in a room, but Mr. Scrooge blows down the door and captures him, tying him up. They find his sack and notice that, though it looks empty, gifts keep appearing from it. Scrooge throws the sack into the fireplace, burning it. He refuses to believe that Santa is real, recalling a memory from when he was 10 years old. He had broken into his neighbor's house to steal their gifts, accidentally scaring their grandpa, who died from a fall down the stairs. Santa explains that he doesn't interfere in people's lives and only delivers presents, which is why he didn't help Scrooge that day. Just then, Trudy dumps styrofoam balls into the vent, distracting the mercenaries. This gives Santa the opportunity to tap his nose and teleport to the roof. At that moment, Santa notices the extraction team has arrived. He checks his list and discovers that their names are on the naughty list. He realizes that the extraction team is working with Mr. Scrooge just as they begin shooting at him. Santa manages to escape and hides in a nearby warehouse. Feeling defeated, he's about to give up when Trudy reminds him that he too can find his Christmas miracle. It's then that Santa notices his hammer hidden away. With renewed determination, Santa attacks the extraction team, taking down most of them. Meanwhile, inside the mansion, Mr. Scrooge opens the vault only to find it empty. Furious, he confronts the Lightstones and demands to know where the money is. Jason admits that he stole the money because he wanted to escape from his mother's control with his family. Back in the attic, Trudy informs Santa that the mercenaries have found her. She had set up traps, inspired by the movie Home Alone, and successfully takes both of them down. In the living room, Linda, Bert, and Alva manage to overpower another mercenary just as Santa and Trudy arrive. They all rush outside to rescue Jason, who has been taken by the extraction team to find the money. Another intense fight breaks out, and with Santa's help, Linda manages to eliminate most of the remaining extraction team. Santa then pursues Mr. Scrooge. The two engage in a fierce battle until Santa teleports both himself and Mr. Scrooge to the top of a chimney, killing Mr. Scrooge in the process. However, Santa is severely injured and dies as well. When Trudy finds him, She urges everyone to acknowledge that Santa is real, believing it will bring him back to life. Moved by her belief, everyone agrees that Santa Claus is real, and miraculously, Santa wakes UP. The movie concludes with Santa's reindeer arriving, bringing a new sack as a gift from his wife, delivered on the sled.